wake up. Honestly, go to the nurse's office. Alright guys, today we're going to talk and talk on the Vietnam War.
But Mr. Allen, why do we have to talk about the Vietnam War? It happened 40 years ago.
First of all, we learn about the Vietnam War because if we don't, you would be failing this class. Second, because I said so. And thirdly, we need to know American history because if we don't, you're going to fail your AP exam.
That's a horrible reason.
Really? You want to get a 2?
Why not?
Because a 2 is bad, and your parents would probably kill you.
My parents don't really care.
You want to go to the principal's office? I see that you don't want, so sit down and pay attention. Okay, the Chinese first took control of Vietnam. Then in 947 AD, the Vietnam wins their independence. Blah, 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 a bunch of stuff happens. Then the French return after World War II. But the Viet Minh used guerrilla tactics to try and kick the French out. 1950, Truman sends an aide to help the French out. A bunch of battle takes place between the U.S. and the Viet Cong. And here's the part you need to know for the AP test. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident.
Hey, Mr. Allen, what do you want for lunch?
Ham sandwich?
Ham sandwich? That's it? Just a ham
Yeah,
sandwich?
it's just a ham sandwich.
You sure?
Yeah.
I mean, you're so tall. Don't you need to eat more stuff?
Yeah, but I'm not hungry right now.
Alright, you owe me $10.
Thanks, Marty. So anyway, two U.S. patrols thought they were being fired on by the Vietnamese. They used this, them and LBJ used this to get a resolution passed by Congress, which gave LBJ the right to send more military troops to Vietnam. The war goes on and on, no clear resolution seemed present, and despite the aid, the fighting continued, and communism could not be surpassed, and North Vietnam launched an offensive.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, Gary?
How do you spell Tet?
T-E-T.
And, what's that word underneath Tet?
Vietnam? Can't you read?
Well, just not your handwriting.
What was that?
Nothing.
That's what I thought. Well, the Tet Offensive was on January 1968, which was clearly a military defeat for the Vietnamese, but a political victory because it caused more anti-war protests at home because it was clear the war was not all popular. Sounds a little familiar?
Yeah, like, it totally rings a bell, but, like, I cannot put my finger on it.
Well, first of all, the U.S. is fighting on foreign soil and has the disadvantage of combat against people fighting for their home and guerrilla warfare. The U.S. was not fighting against a solid army, but a philosophy, which at this point was communism. Luckily, Nixon, Tricky Dick, applied Vietnamization and drew out the troops in shame.
Woo! I just finished 1 mile in 4 minutes flat. Yo, that's totally my PR. I feel so exhausted, but I feel like dancing. Oh. Today we're going to learn about the Iraqi War. Does anyone know how it got started? Yes?
Because the terrorists attacked us, so we attacked back.
Well, partly.
Hey, Brady, what do you want for lunch?
Just bagels and black coffee.
That's it?
That's it.
Alright, okay, you owe me $5.
Alright. Wait,
Yes?
actually just rice will be fine.
You sure? Just rice.
Just rice will be good, because tomorrow I have a race, and I'm on a really high carbohydrate diet.
Alright, okay, then you owe me $10, Brady.
Alright, thanks, Jana.
Bye.
Well, anyways, class, our President Bush, back in the day, saw Iraq as a major threat to the nation's security. When 9/11 happened,
Mr. Allen.
just wait. President Bush used the new Homeland Security Act as an excuse to go into Afghanistan. Alright, Jane, what's your question?
What does that say?
This? You can't read what it says? This is President Bush. What's the matter with you? Well, as the situation progressed, President Bush thought there were weapons of mass destruction that could possibly end up in the hands of possible terrorists that could fuel terrorist activities. So, as a result, troops were sending to Iraq.
And
And what's so interesting about that is that even though we're fighting on foreign soil, we were fighting a guerrilla-style warfare, one which we didn't know our enemies, and still, our President Bush, refused to withdraw our troops.
wow, that rings a bell, but I cannot put my finger on it.
Well, the U.S. policy at that time was that the U.S. could not leave until a new government was set up in Iraq. And as the war went on and on and on, and as the war effort escalated, hey, whose cell phone is that? Turn that off! What are you doing? This is class.
Sorry.
My God, such rude kids. As I was saying, as escalation of the war effort increased, nothing was accomplished. The effort was futile.
Dad, wake up. What did I say about sleeping in class?
Vietnam, Iraq. What a total connection.
Stop talking when I'm teaching.
But.
If you want to talk, come up here and teach the class yourself.
Okay, fine. Okay. The real reason why we have to learn about history is so we can predict future domestic and foreign policies. As we all know, the Vietnam War went very, 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 very bad. And the U.S. government was determined to establish an anti-communist government. It would not leave until the goal was achieved. However, it was never complete.
That's what I said.
Yeah, but I have more. See, now when we look at Iraq, U.S. current policy is that there will be no withdrawing of troops until a U.S. friendly government is established.
And your point is?
So that means that we as a nation need to learn history so we can predict future outcomes and deal with them before it's too late.
Sit down, Gary. I've had enough of this. You get an A for your great explanation, but you get an F for interrupting my class.
What?
Sit
What?
down. Sit down. Okay, now class. Now that fiasco's over. I'm gonna be showing you an interview with one of my fellow faculty members, who you're all very familiar with. Hello, Mr. Molinack.
Good morning.
We have a few questions on you for our history project.
Okay.
First, what was your opinion on the war in Vietnam?
I think it was a mistake. It was a result of United States imperialism and lies, broken treaties. It was based on a false premise of the domino theory of communism. It was a mistake, and I think history's shown that.
Now, what's your opinion on the current policy in Iraq?
It's disastrous. I don't really have much of an opinion on the policy in Iraq because I don't think there is a current policy in Iraq, and that's the problem. There's no plan. We rolled in there with no idea what it was going to take to win the occupation. So there really isn't much of a plan to be critical about.
Do you think the two wars are similar?
Very similar. Both based on false premises. Both dealt with in very poor manners. We were not prepared for either war, the guerrilla-type warfare in Vietnam or this insurgency. So I think there are definite parallels between the two.
And next, do you think the U.S. policy in Iraq will lead to a similar outcome?
You know, a disgraceful U.S. withdrawal? Probably.
And finally, why do you think it's important for us to learn history?
To avoid mistakes like this. And besides, history is the study of everything. And the more stuff you know, the more jokes you get.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marno.
You're very welcome.